miles per hour or above. Impact on results. The higher the exit velocity, the more difficult the ball becomes a home run or extra base hit. The king of exit velo, Aaron Judge, has the highest average exit velocity in baseball. His hard hit rate regularly sits in the top 1% of the entire major leagues. Physics of Judge at 6'7". His long arms create a leverage advantage, like a longer handle on a lever, that generates more bat speed at the point contact than smaller framed hitters can replicate. Launch angle, the revolution above the numbers. Launch angle is the vertical angle at which the ball leaves the bat, measured in degrees. The sweet spot, 25 to 35 degrees, is the optimal launch angle zone for home runs, high enough to clear outfield walls, but not so high that it becomes a routine flyout. Changing the game. This revolution began around 2015, when players realized that the old wisdom of hit it on the ground and use your speed was leaving enormous offensive value on the table. The trade-off: hitting balls in the air at launch angles between 10 and 35 degrees produces more extra base hits and home runs. This is why batting averages league-wide have dropped while home run rates have risen. Spin rate, the invisible weapon. Spin rate, measured in revolutions per minute, RPM, is how fast a pitched baseball is spinning as it travels toward home plate. The rising fastball, a four-seam fastball with a high spin rate, say 2600 RPM, compared to the average of 2200, to rise to hitters, defying gravity. While it doesn't actually rise, the backspin fights gravity so effectively that the ball falls less than the hitter's brain expects, causing them to swing under it. Custom pitch design. Teams use this data to custom design pitch arsenals for individual pitchers based on their natural arm actions. This is how elite organizations take average pitchers and turn them into aces. The All-Star Game Outlook. Mid-season Classic Predictions. The All-Star Game. The Midsummer Classic. This is baseball's grand exhibition where the best from the American League and the National League square off in a pure showcase of talent. It is a 3-day celebration featuring the celebrity softball game, the home run derby on Monday night, and the big game itself on Tuesday. If you've never been to All-Star Week, add it to your bucket list right now. Projected Al roster. The American League starting lineup is looking absolutely loaded this year. Catcher, Cal Raleigh of the Mariners is the front-runner after his massive MVP caliber performance last year. Shortstop, Bobby Witt Jr. is the overwhelming fan favorite and a lock to start. Second base, Jazz Chisholm Jr. brings the flash and personality that all-star voters love to reward. Right field, Aaron Judge is as automatic as the sunrise. He's been an all-star every healthy year of his career. Pitching, the staff will likely feature elite arms like Tarek Skubal, Garrett Crochet, and Logan Gilbert. Projected NL roster, Ohtani and the stars. The National League roster starts with the obvious, Shohei Ohtani. The two-way event. If Ohtani pitches and bats in the same All-Star game, it will be the television event of the entire season. Infield power. Expect Mookie Betts at shortstop and Freddie Freeman at first base. Stacked outfield. The NL outfield is a who's who of superstars, including Corbin Carroll, Juan Soto, Bryce Harper, and Ronald Acuna Jr. The global stage. The real subplot here is how the NL manager handles Ohtani. If he starts on the mound for the first 2 innings and stays in the lineup, it serves as the greatest advertisement for baseball in modern history. Casual fans who have only heard the myths will finally be glued to their screens to see the unicorn in action. Bullpen strategies, openers, closers. We touched on pitching trends when discussing velocity, but now let's go deep on how managers in 2026 are actually using their pitchers. Because the bullpen management strategies employed by today's best managers are as sophisticated, as data-driven, and as situationally nuanced as anything happening in any sport. This is three-dimensional chess played with human arms and adrenaline. Why the traditional model broke down. For most of baseball history, the model was simple. Your starter goes 6 or 7 innings, 1 or 2 setup men handle the 7th and 8th, and your closer comes in for the 9th. But analytics challenge that assumption fundamentally. What if the highest leverage situation in a game is not the ninth? Misallocating resources. Traditional managers were often saving their best arm for the 9th regardless of context, while sometimes losing the game in the 7th. Because they used a lower quality, the opener strategy popularized by the Tampa Bay Rays. They changed the opener strategy in 2026. The opener is typically a high strikeout power arm who's starts the game and faces the opposing lineup's top hitters for the first time, usually throwing one or two innings. The third time through penalty. Opposing lineups do their most damage when they see a pitcher for the third time. Timing improves and adjustments are made, neutralizing the top. By using an opener, you get a fresh, hard-throwing reliever against the top of the lineup, neutralizing their best hitters early. Orchestrated symphony. The bulk starter that takes over for the middle innings, followed by high-leverage relievers. By the end, the opposing team's best hitters have faced 4 or 5 different pitchers, with no chance to find a rhythm. Closers in the modern era, despite the shift toward flexibility, traditional closer still holds a massive psychological advantage. Edwin Diaz, back with the Dodgers, is the most electrifying ninth inning presence in the game. The trumpet entrance. When the trumpet fanfare starts and 56,000 people get on their feet, the opposing closer forsakes. But also the analytical awareness to deploy that arm in the sixth inning if the game is on the line. Let's talk about what is happening on the mound in 2026. Because the evolution of pitching in Major League Baseball over the last decade has been nothing short of a full-blown revolution. We're talking about an era where 97 miles per hour is no longer considered elite. It is table stakes. We are in a time where pitchers have entirely new pitch classifications that didn't even exist together. And it is beautiful. The velocity explodes. In 2010, the average four-seam fastball in Major League Baseball was roughly average. Take Tarek School that falls completely off the pounds. Throwing downhill from a hull has natural life and gets on hitters faster than its 98.99 miles per hour suggests because of his elite extension. His ERA after 55 career starts is under 2 narrow. That number is 0.00 against the best hitters on planet Earth. The sweeper, the pitch that changed everything. Now we need to talk about the sweeper. If you've watched baseball in the last 3 or 4 seasons, and you've noticed a specific pitch that looks like a slider but behaves differently, breaking much more horizontally, sometimes 17 to 20 inches of lateral movement, that is the sweeper, and it has quietly, fundamentally transformed how pitching attacks are constructed. A traditional slider is a tight, late-breaking pitch that dives down and away. But the sweeper is a different beast entirely. It moves more like a frisbee, massive horizontal, sweep with minimal vertical drop, which creates a completely different problem for hitters. Instead of chasing a ball that breaks down, hitters are chasing a ball that appears to be perfectly located, but then zips 4, 5, 6 inches further outside than their hands can reach. The barrel misses. The swing produces nothing but air, spin rates and pitch design. The StatCast era means we can now compare spin rates across hundreds of thousands of pitches to identify which spin produces the best results. Teams use this data to custom design pitch arsenals for individual pitchers based on their natural arm actions. This is why the Los Angeles Dodgers, who pioneered a lot of this work, have been able to take average pitchers and turn them into elite producers. Pitchers show up at Dodger spring training and spend weeks in pitch design labs, throwing into high-speed cameras and analyzing their spin metrics. It is essentially baseball's version of Formula 1 engineering. The car matters. Car. And right now, the Dodgers build the best cars in the sport. The American League East is, and has been for decades, the toughest division in baseball. 5 teams, no easy nights, no gimme series, and absolutely no comfort zone from April through September. The AL East will eat your lunch, steal your shoes, and still have the audacity to look good doing it. Let's break down the 3 biggest stories. The Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays. New York Yankees, the status quo empire. The Yankees enter 2026 doing something they almost never do, running it back. Nearly the same roster, nearly the same strategy. The front office believes this core, which suffered a heartbreaking ALCS loss to the Blue Jays last year, needs one more full season together to reach its ceiling. The depth around Judge. While Aaron Judge is the alpha and omega, the depth around him is what makes this lineup terrifying. Jazz Chisholm Jr. At second base, he provides that dynamic speed and power combination the Yankees desperately needed. He plays like every game is a street fight, bringing an energy that the Bronx has fully embraced. The battery, young catchers in the league, showing a bat when Garrett Cole is expected back from Tommy John. When Cole is right, he is the best starter in the American League. And adding a caliber of arm, like that mid-season changes everything about a team's playoff odds. Boston Red Sox, the Garrett Crochet era. The Red Sox enter 2026 after a calculated offseason. They passed on Alex Bregman and instead pivoted. Hard to make pitching their absolute priority. They already had Garrett Crochet, who was arguably the best pitcher in the American League last season, not named Tarek Skubal. The Crochet story is one of the best in baseball. A guy who was a one-in reliever for the White Sox, whom the Red Sox acquired and converted into a legitimate lefty ace with triple-digit velocity. The big question for Boston is simple. Can Crochet take that next step and become a true number one when the lights are brightest in October? Because in the regular season, his stuff plays anywhere. But the postseason requires a different level of grit. Toronto Blue Jays, so close, so hungry. 2 outs. That is how close the Toronto Blue Jays came to their first World Series championship since 1993. 2 outs in Game 7, and it slipped away. The hunger in that organization is now ferocious. Aggressive reinforcements. They didn't wallow in the loss. They went out and signed Cease and added Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is the centerpiece. He has the raw bat speed and barrel control that scouts call generational. After finishing top 3 in MVP voting again last year without winning, he is motivated by a frustration that should terrify opposing pitchers. The new infield. Bo Bichette is gone. Offseason. In return, Marcus Semien is back, giving the Gold Glove second baseman and a seasoned veteran leader. When the Jays are chasing a championship, the Rogers Center is a different environment. That city buzzes, and those 48,000 seats are full of people who truly believe this is the year. They bring the trophy back to Canada. The American League West is the most geographically sprawling division in baseball and arguably the most narratively rich heading into 2026. You have a dynasty that refuses to die, a team fueled by revenge energy, and a Mariners franchise that finally ended their decades-long playoff drought and is now legitimately hungry for more. Let's get into it. Houston Astros, the dynasty that keeps bending. The Houston Astros are a fascinating study in organizational resilience. They dominated the American League for 5 straight years of pennant appearances. Then the dynasty seemed to crack. Key pieces aging, competition catching up. And yet here they are in 2026. Still dangerous, still capable of October baseball. The Yordan Alvarez variable, the most critical variable for Houston's entire 2026 season is Yordan Alvarez, after being limited to just 199 plate appearances in 2025 due to injuries. Getting a full season healthy Alvarez back could be the single biggest roster development for any team in the AL West. Massive departures. They lost Kyle Tucker to the Dodgers, a $240 million hit, and Alex Bregman to the Cubs. Those are 2 key offensive pieces that depart, and the organizational depth will be tested. The resilience factor. Houston's front office has earned every benefit of every doubt, but the question remains whether they have enough left to punch through to October one more time. Texas Rangers, defending pride. The Texas Rangers are coming off a World Series appearance, losing to the Blue Jays in 2025 in that heartbreaking 7-game series, and have made significant moves to get back. The pitching culture. They have the pitching culture established by Jacob deGrom and Nathan Eovaldi, with Mackenzie Gore developing in a rotation where he can learn from veteran presence every single day. Elite offense. Corey Seager at shortstop is still elite, one of the best offensive shortstops in the game when healthy. The state rivalry. The Rangers-Astros rivalry, Texas versus Houston, is one of the most compelling divisional stories in the sport. When these 2 teams meet at Globe Life Field or Minute Maid Park, the atmosphere is electric because these fan bases do not like each other. Seattle Mariners, the franchise finally awake. The Seattle Mariners spent 21 years without making the playoffs, but things changed last year when they won the AL West Division title for the first time since that legendary 116-win 2001 team. Superstar ascent. Julio Rodriguez continues his ascent into superstardom, and the rotation, featuring Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert, Luis Castillo, and George Kirby, was one of the 3 best in the entire league. Postseason legend energy. They brought in Randy Arozarena in left field, bringing that postseason legend energy from his Tampa Bay days. The Northwest Fever. The Mariners are not a one-hit wonder. They are built. T-Mobile Park will be absolutely rocking this year as a genuine AL pennant contender. The NL Giants, analyzing the Dodgers' super team status. We need to have an honest conversation about the Los Angeles Dodgers, because what this organization has assembled is genuinely unprecedented in the modern era of baseball, not just because they've spent a lot of money, or because they have the best individual players, though both are true. It is the specific combination of depth at every position, starting pitching quality, bullpen construction, and the singular transcendent talent of Shohei Ohtani. On paper, the 2026 Dodgers are a legitimate argument for the greatest assembled team in baseball history. The roster, a who's who of excellence. Let's go through the lineup card, because it deserves to be recited with appropriate awe. Mookie Betts, leading off at shortstop. Mookie is a Hall of Famer in progress with 8 gold gloves and 0 weak tools. He fields his position like he invented it. Shohei Ohtani, DH on regular days and a starting pitcher every 5th. When Ohtani hits in a lineup with Betts and Freddie Freeman, opposing managers are playing lineup. Sudoku in reverse. There is no way to neutralize all 3 simultaneously. Freddie Freeman, at first base. He is a 300 hitter who plays with grace and intelligence. He is the emotional heartbeat of that clubhouse. Kyle Tucker, the 240 million man from Houston, provides gold glove defense and elite left-handed power. His presence makes every hitter around him more dangerous. The depth, with Teoscar Hernandez, Will Smith, and Max Muncy. This lineup has 9 legitimate threats from top to bottom. The rotation, 4 aces. The pitching staff is where this becomes almost unfair. The Dodgers' rotation features Blake Snell, a 2-time Cy Young winner, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the World Series MVP and one of the premier pitchers in the game, Tyler Glasnow, throwing 98 miles per hour with a curveball that makes hitters whimper, Shohei Ohtani. On the days he pitches, he adds a 4th ace to the mix. Most franchises would be thrilled to have any single one of those 4 pitchers. The Dodgers have all of them simultaneously. And with Edwin Diaz in the 9th inning, his trumpet, entrance music still sending chills through the park, this team is built for total dominance. Can anyone beat the Dodgers? The Philadelphia Phillies are the most dangerous challenger. They won the NL East by 13 games last year and have a terrifying lineup, anchored by Bryce Harper and Trea Turner. The Cubs are fascinating sleepers with Bregman, and the Mets with Juan Soto have the talent to compete. But it all comes back to Los Angeles. The Dodgers have won the World Series 2 consecutive years, and until someone beats them, the burden of proof is on the challenger. The Dodgers are the mountain. Everyone else is still climbing. The Kansas City Royals, wit and the window. The Kansas City Royals won the World Series in 2015 and then spent years rebuilding. That rebuild, centered around Bobby Witt Jr., has produced status quo. The roster construction, Bobby Witt Jr. provides more, while 9-time All-Star Salvador Perez provides the veteran anchor and leadership. Pasquantino is a contact-hitting machine, and Jonathan India is a former NFL Rookie of the Year who reinvents his approach every year. The breakout, keep an eye on Caglianone. Scouts were buzzing all spring training about his raw power. The ace, Cole Reagans, is their ace. If he stays healthy, Kansas City has the foundation to win this division. Home playoff games in Kansas City would be electric. The Pittsburgh